Mhm.
Can you let me know when it's up, please?
I'm looking right now,
Cool.
and it looks like we are live.
Good evening, nerds. How you doing? I'm your host George here with my co-host Daniel. Daniel, how you doing? How you doing on this fine Wednesday evening?
Oh, not too bad. Besides fighting cold, but
Yeah, it's
that's
par for the course this time of year.
season. Yeah.
So, what have you been up to the last week?
Well, got a new job, so that's been a lot of it. But when I have the time, I've been playing. Mostly lately, I've been playing. I tried out the Black Ops free trial there.
What'd you
Had a little
think?
fun with that. It wasn't bad. It was pretty good.
And that was just the blackout mode, correct?
Right, yeah, and I'm not a huge fan of the battlegrounds games, but it's done well. I've always liked the mechanics of Call of Duty, so having that in a battle royale is pretty fun. But other than that, I played some Neverwinter, played some StarCraft, and some. I did actually start playing some Fallout 4 again, just for the fun of it.
Right on.
But and then other than that, well, watched like Supernatural still. That's a big one I've been watching, anyways.
Right on. That's cool.
But what about you? What you been up to this week?
Well, yesterday was my 1 month anniversary of playing Sea of Thieves. Yeah, and I'm fast on track to get Pirate Legend. So,
Nice.
I've decided that, because the Merchant Alliance is a real pain to level up, that as soon
Uh-huh.
as I get the other two to 50, I'm going to use up my doubloons and just buy the levels and get it over and done with. So,
Nice.
I think I need to get two more levels and I can just completely close it out.
Yeah.
I played a little bit of Mortal Kombat X because that's on Game Pass, so figured I'd give that a shot. I hadn't played a Mortal Kombat since I believe 3 on the SNES,
Nice.
so it had been a minute.
Yeah. And this is definitely very different than that one.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
oh yeah. I like the what do they call them, the X-ray attacks or whatever.
Yeah. X-ray attacks, I think, or whatever. Yeah.
Those seem pretty cool, and getting hyped for the game coming out in April, I believe.
Yeah. I believe so.
And that's going to be on Switch. NetherRealm isn't porting it, but someone else is. But they're saying it looks good on Switch.
And I'm very curious about how well that is. I wasn't actually planning on getting it until they said it was on the Switch, and now I'm really considering it.
Yeah, well, I'm sure we'll hear more about it in the coming months. I've been watching a lot of documentaries lately too. I watched one about the Panama Canal. I've watched one about British castles. It was pretty interesting. I've been watching a lot of Ken Burns documentaries too. I was watching
Yeah.
Civil War. The one about the Roosevelts, about Teddy
Okay.
and Franklin. I didn't
I
realize
know.
Teddy was a
Yeah.
sickly child, but that surprised
Yeah.
me. Um, Ken Burns can make a documentary. I tell you what, and he gets Peter Coyote to narrate most of them. And that guy's got a great narrator voice.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nice.
And I watched some football. My Rams. There's some controversy around that NFC Championship game, but
Yeah, you think?
well, the people that squawk about that call don't want to mention all the ones that went the Saints' way, like the face mask on 3rd and goal, and
There's just, I'm sorry, the officiating in general was horrible.
in both games. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
I mean, honestly, I didn't watch either one. I just saw highlights because honestly, I don't care about those teams like in the slightest bit. So,
Did you see the roughing the passer call that
mhm.
the Chiefs had on Tom Brady?
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, seriously,
Anyways, Super Bowl should be fun.
yeah.
All right.
I'll be honest. I'm probably not watching it this year.
No?
No, I just have no interest anymore.
Yeah, I hear that. Since I have a horse in the race,
Yeah.
I'm actually interested for the first time in a long time.
If the Bengals had made it, sure, I probably would have watched. That'd be about it. So,
Fair enough. All right, so tonight we're going to talk about next-gen consoles.
mhm.
And there's been a lot of talk. Both Microsoft and PlayStation have confirmed they are working on them. That's about as far as they've gotten. There's rumors. Nintendo hasn't confirmed anything. Everyone says they're going to make a Switch 0, Switch XL, something.
Right.
A Switch with no dock, or a Switch where the Joy-Cons can't come off. Probably yes, but they haven't confirmed anything.
Right.
So, where do you want to start?
Well, one thing that I saw recently that I thought was pretty interesting was that Microsoft pretty much said they're making two consoles. And that one's not as much rumor. It's been shown. Now, what's got me really thinking about it is why. What are those two consoles? Is it two consoles at the same time, or is it like Xbox One, Xbox One X or S, or what I'm thinking is that this next generation is going to go a lot towards focusing on digital games, and so I'm wondering if that's where Xbox is going to have one that still has disk drive or whatever, and another one
Optical
that is
drive,
straight. That's what I'm thinking. You can make the digital one cheaper. You don't have to have the all the disk drive and all that, so it should be cheaper. And they love it when people buy digital because they're literally buying straight from their store without them having to make any manufacture any type of physical thing. So I think,
and they cut out the third-party brick and mortars that way.
Exactly. So I think I think they'll, and PlayStation, at least to some extent, will focus on.
Let's talk about the Xbox first. We'll talk about the PlayStation afterwards.
Right.
Now, I don't know if it was confirmed during E3 that Microsoft said they're definitely making two consoles, or it's just speculation. But I'm pretty sure they confirmed it, and you're right, that one is going to be digital. But I've heard that it might be streaming only, so you don't actually download the games, and you're all streaming them from the cloud.
Right. More along the lines of their Game Pass.
Well, no, not even that. So on Game Pass, you download the games.
Well, true, yeah. Okay. You're talking.
So it would be significantly cheaper and smaller because all the computing is done over the cloud. So you don't, and that's how in Japan there's on the Nintendo Switch you can stream Resident Evil 7 and Assassin's Creed Odyssey because the Nintendo's not doing the processing; it's just the screen.
Yeah.
So that's what I've heard, and I think in your major urban areas along the coasts here, where you can get high-speed internet that's capable of that, and you're not going to have the latency issues, that'll work. But there's a lot of parts of the country where I don't know if it's going to be viable. So
the rural areas, things like that, that's a tough one.
So we'll see. I'm hoping they're saying it's going to be digital only, because that's what I would buy, especially if it's cheaper.
I agree. I would actually go digital only if it's cheaper and still has the same quality.
Yeah,
but I don't think I would go with the streaming box though.
Yeah, I don't know if I would.
Not yet.
My internet probably could handle it.
You're right,
but I don't know. Maybe. One thing I think that is an indicator that they are going towards that streaming and not the download option is Crackdown 3. Because for at least the multiplayer, everything is done on the cloud for Crackdown 3. It's part of the reason it's taken so long. So I have a feeling that they're going to run that as like a test bed before they say, okay, are we going to go streaming only or digital download?
Mm-hmm.
And they're probably going to see how that does first.
Right.
So I don't know.
It's an interesting, definitely an interesting look ahead at what could be, because, like you were saying, if like look at the Switch, in Japan, and use it like that. So they could put all their money into the servers and all that, and then the console itself be really cheap or whatever, and not have to have very much power to it.
Yeah, I've heard speculations that if they do that, the consoles could be maybe even under $200 brand new.
That'd be impressive.
That
would be impressive.
A move like that, if they can get it to work,
right,
could significantly cut into the PlayStation market.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think another thing that Microsoft needs to do in the next gen is continue to evolve their first parties, which they've been doing because they bought all these studios.
Absolutely.
They also need to get some third-party exclusives, whether it be timed exclusives, if they need to do advertising partnerships with like an EA or an Activision. They really need to get that advantage that PlayStation has right now.
Right.
Because they don't have it.
No, they don't.
For the most part.
They have, their few, tried and true markets that they hit, but it doesn't compare to PlayStation. Definitely. I love some Halo. I love some Gears of War. But and they definitely look at Sea of Thieves. But like you were saying, it's like they need the third party support for the exclusives. I have seen I can't remember what it was, but there was one series that instead of going to the PlayStation for the early stuff and everything, they were going straight to the Xbox instead. I can't remember what it was. Some exclusive.
Yeah, I heard about something like that recently, but I don't remember what it was.
Yeah, but they need to really push it, and definitely if they could get a third party big AAA game exclusive to the Xbox, it would really help them out. But I don't see it happening until they can get enough of their own exclusives, get their player base closer to PlayStation. If they can do that, then yeah, you're looking at more third party support as far as the exclusives and stuff like that goes.
Well, and part of it's also gonna come down to, is Microsoft willing to pay more to these third parties for the advertising rights than PlayStation is? And I think Microsoft, like financially, is doing better and has more available cash than Sony does.
I don't know about that. I mean,
because outside of PlayStation, Sony is struggling with everything.
Are they?
Yeah,
and that makes sense. I mean, and Microsoft has their hands in so much. So
yeah,
that makes sense.
Most computers these days, and for the last 30 years, run on Windows. So they also need to continue to evolve Game Pass and get bigger titles on there sooner.
And that's it. It's like, the one great thing is that their exclusives go directly to it.
Day one.
That's awesome. But yeah, I think as they build up like that and get some more of those big games on there, it's going to be a big seller for them.
Hang on just a second.
Yep. But anyways, so what about you all at home? What are you guys doing? Anybody having fun? If you can't tell, I'm kind of stuffed up.
Sorry about that.
It happens.
All right, so now let's move on to the PlayStation.
Yes.
So Sony has confirmed a PlayStation. I'm sure they're going to call it 5.
Right.
Why
wouldn't you?
Yeah, why change it now?
Yeah.
What do you think they need to do?
With them, honestly, I don't see a lot that they need to do that's, any big thing. I think they do need to, in some ways, I hope they kind of wait for Xbox to release theirs and maybe push to be a stronger system than Xbox, because that was literally like the only thing that players were saying against PlayStation was that the Xbox was more powerful.
Last generation.
And yeah,
Yeah.
and so if they need to wait a little bit longer, just a little bit, to get at least the same amount of power or more power than an Xbox, then they're pretty much gold. They need to keep pushing the exclusives.
Mm-hmm.
They have the series out there. I would say they definitely could see maybe branch out into something new. I don't know what specifically. I mean, they do a pretty good amount as is. Just keep exploring, trying new things.
One thing they don't have is a first-party shooter. I mean, they have Resistance and Killzone, those IPs.
Right.
Haven't done well in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Especially the ones in PS3. They were kind of lackluster.
Yeah.
So they need to maybe revive one of those, or Siphon Filter, something like that.
Yeah.
That's where, I mean, Microsoft has two shooters, the first and the third, in Halo and Gears of War.
Mm-hmm.
It's one area Microsoft has over them.
Yeah.
One thing I think they need to do is they need to improve their PlayStation Plus. And the reason I say that is in March, I don't know if it ends in March or March is last month, no more Vita games and no more PS3 games.
Yeah.
So the price isn't going down, so they need to do something to supplement going from, 4 games to 2? My hope is they're going to start putting some PSVR games on there.
Well, they already have done that.
A couple, but doing it 1 or 2 a month, making them more frequent.
That would be great. Yeah.
Or adding a movie, because Sony, Sony Pictures,
True, yeah.
they can start adding movies, digital copies of movies. So I think
that'd be a pretty tough one. The movies and stuff. I don't know that to get, because you got to think of not only the film rights and everything, but then all the stuff that goes to the other people that produce it.
True. But if if they do just Sony owned movies,
right,
it would be significantly easier for them to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think because they've really got good third party relationships. So I think they need to maintain those.
Yeah,
but I don't think they can get cocky. They can't.
There you go.
They can't just assume that they're going to win again.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if Microsoft comes out swinging and they have a console they're saying is 200, 250, and then for the digital version, and then the PlayStation 5 comes out, it's $500 or $600. Well, for most people, that's a no-brainer.
Yep.
So I think they can't wait too long after Microsoft announces. I agree that they should wait for Microsoft first, but they can't wait too long, and they can't come in too expensive.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. Price point has always been such an issue with new consoles lately, and new consoles in general. They've always been so expensive. So it's, what can they do to make theirs the one to spend the money on? Because most families these days are a single console family. So why go with PlayStation now? For PlayStation, they're in a good position because they have the player base already. And those players are going to be more likely to continue buying from the same one. But if Xbox or if Microsoft did bring out an Xbox that was that much cheaper, and you got a family with kids and on a budget, would it be enough to make them change over? And PlayStation really has to be careful, like you were saying. They can't get too cocky about it. They may have done extremely well, but this next generation they could tank. It's that easy for things to change.
Yeah, yeah. Another thing I think they need to do is they really need to figure out backwards compatibility, and they need to have that on
Yes.
their next console, especially with the PlayStation 4 games,
Yeah.
because you've seen an increase in digital sales.
Mhm.
You, I would be pissed if all the digital PlayStation games I bought wouldn't go on the next one. It's not really a concern with Microsoft because they're already doing it, and I have no reason to believe they would want to end that.
No, no, absolutely not. And I know some people have actually bought the old games again to put them on there, or to put them on their new Xbox One. They buy Xbox 360 games they want, and so yeah, they make money off of backwards compatibility. So there's no reason, and in fact, they should this time come out with it already. Have it just
Yep,
automatic, and be smart about that. Yeah.
Now, I do
And-
know there's issues with the PS3 cell processors.
Yeah.
Figure it out. Sony has to figure it out.
Yes.
So
I couldn't agree more. But overall, I think, and maybe it's a bad thing that PlayStation is going into this next generation in such a good position, because like you said, they could just think, oh, well, we have the player base, so it doesn't matter. We can do what we want type of thing.
and it bit them with the PS3 because that's how they had the
Exactly.
PS2, and they eventually recovered, but it was
Mhm.
very light in that console's life
Yes.
cycle.
Yeah. So yeah, they can't let that happen again. So hopefully they learned their lesson for the PS3 and do it right with the PS5 or whatever.
Yeah,
But we shall see.
we'll see. Yeah, hopefully in the next year, maybe we'll have some more news. Maybe even have the consoles. I wouldn't be
Yeah.
surprised if Microsoft has them out for this holiday season, 2019.
Really?
Yeah, I bet you Microsoft's doing some Cloak and Dagger stuff where they've already been making them, and I think they're gonna go for the jugular right away. Hang on a second.
Yep. I think his cats are messing around with this stuff. Oh, so what about you guys? Anybody out there watching right now? What do you want to see with the next gen consoles?
Sorry about that. I had to put the baby gate back up because the dog keeps knocking it over.
Oh, the dog. Okay, I thought it might have been the cats.
Well, I think the cat may have knocked it over the second time, but the dog will come in here, and because I'm now hardwired and the way I've got it set up, he gets caught in the wire, and I don't want him to break my laptop. So
Yeah, I don't blame you there.
yeah, so I have to keep him out of the room for an hour.
But yeah,
Yeah. Where were we?
PlayStation.
Not getting cocky.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they
But-
they definitely can't.
Oh, and then holiday season. You were saying.
Oh yeah, I bet you Microsoft has already got them being made.
I don't think they're producing them yet.
Or they're
I
going to
think
start.
Right, they're getting close. I'm pretty sure they're doing some testing and stuff. They've already gotten. I could almost guarantee they've already got. Sorry, thanks, Matthew. I appreciate that.
What do you say?
He says. I while you were gone, I asked what the viewers would want to see with next gen consoles, and he says he has no idea. Just love to support the guild. So,
All right, yeah,
that works too.
yeah.
And it looks like the Leah Nasty Nala is watching with us, our streamer of the month.
Hi, Leah.
Hi, Leah. Congratulations on streamer of the month. But yeah, I don't see them being far enough ahead into the manufacturing process to have them out in time for holiday season. It just
I really wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I think Microsoft's got a lot of money and they can make things happen quick if they need to.
and you know what? You're right, but I don't think it'd be good.
Well,
I think they'd be rushing it, and there'd be so many issues.
well, but here's my thought is they may have like a year and a half, 2 years ago, already started this and said, we're going to come out with the X. We've got a boosted system compared to the
Right.
original, and we're just to be a stopgap. So-
True. I mean, well, and you look back at the Xbox One and how much how everything was leaked so much for so long there. And so maybe this time they like you said, they've been better about keeping everything secret, covert and all that. So I don't know. I mean, you may be right.
They got to come out with a splash. So
yeah, and obviously they've been working on the next gen console pretty much since this generation
Yep.
first came out. They've been working on it. Now there's been a lot of R&D, like early stuff, and I bet it was probably around the time the One S came out that they really started pushing it.
yeah,
And that's been what 3 years ago,
2-3 years, yeah.
2-3 years ago, yeah. So yeah, I mean, hey, you could be right, and it'd be interesting to see if they're able to do that, and then shoot, PlayStation, may not come out until next holiday season after that. That'd be a big time jump, there, time frame there that Xbox would be able to get in the more
Gain some
players.
ground, yeah.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about a Nintendo.
Hey, Paul.
A new Nintendo product, because no one's really talking. I mean, I've heard some rumblings. What would you think
Right.
about? Well, first let me say, I love the Nintendo Switch,
Mhm.
but Nintendo's got an issue with it, and that is they can never go back from a hybrid console ever again.
I wouldn't necessarily say that's a problem in my opinion.
Well, yeah,
for
but
me. But yes, for Nintendo, yeah, you're right. I mean, it would not make sense for them to go back.
well, yeah, and we as players, we've had it both ways, so we want it both ways now.
Right.
They've had a new standards. They've set a new standard. So
And the thing is, I don't think that's too big a problem for Nintendo, just because Nintendo is not. You can't really even lump them in with Xbox and PlayStation.
they're their own thing.
They are. And it works.
They march to the
Now-
beat of their own drummer. That's for sure.
Right. And now I definitely think they need to be careful about falling too far behind in the power and graphics and all that, because right now they're close enough that they're able to get some third-party games, big big AAA games still coming to the Switch, like Doom and Skyrim, although that's an older one, but Doom,
Mortal Kombat.
no, well, yeah, Mortal Kombat, and what was the other one I was just thinking about? That
Wolfenstein.
yes, thank you, Wolfenstein. But these games they were able to come to it, and even with the lower power, but if they had been just a little bit less power, it would have been really bad.
Yeah.
They would not have been able to do these games, and I don't know if it would have blown up like it did the Switch sales. So
Which,
they
by
got
the
to
way,
be.
did you hear? Speaking of Switch sales, did you hear about the numbers they had last month?
I did not see the exact numbers yet,
So-
but I know it was ridiculous.
In the U.S., the Switch
Mhm.
outsold the PlayStation and Xbox combined.
Yeah,
I want to say it was 1.8 million in the U.S.
yeah. Smash Bros.
in a month. Yeah, and that's just the
Mhm.
U.S. So
Yep. All about Smash Bros, man.
Yeah, yeah. Um,
So,
yeah. If there is another Switch, I'd like to see it
mhm,
not necessarily have a bigger screen. I think the screen's fine,
right.
but I would
Hmm.
like to see it have a little bit more juice to it.
Yep.
Um,
Yep. I absolutely agree.
I would like to see them figure out a way to incorporate uh, voice chat into the system, into the UI, especially for when the console is docked. I want to be
Hmm.
able to plug an earbud into my Pro controller and go from there. They'd have to, of course, come out with new Pro controllers, but or do a
Right. And
Bluetooth or something.
that drives me crazy. That, you know, if I want to use that, I mean, I can't even use the chat features unless I'm in the stupid app anyways. That's one thing. They've got to do something about that. And they won't, and it drives me crazy.
But we've talked about that too. Why there's
Yeah.
logistical reasons why it
Mhm.
makes sense. Um, I don't know what else I'd like to see from them.
Well, and it's so early in the Switch's life cycle.
Yeah,
Basically, I do think if they do come out with a Switch 2.0, I could definitely see doing one that is more, a little larger, more dock, more for a console, a docked console type of experience, with the ability to have something like and take it around with you in a house or something like that, rather than a truly portable one. I could see that because that's mostly what I do. I don't take mine handheld out with me when I'm going places most of the time, unless I know I'm going to be sitting around for.
yeah,
And that's pretty.
same here.
But
Usually when I play handheld, it's when I have the baseball game on the TV,
right,
and I wanna, I wanna play some Street Fighter or some Mega Man, something like that.
right, exactly, and you can do that with a larger one
Yep.
and be perfectly fine. And in fact, it might actually be even a little more comfortable if it was a little larger to some
Yeah,
extent.
depending on the size of your hands and the Joy-Con and whatnot.
Right. But then you could also look at them going the other way and making one a little smaller type of stuff. Maybe, not have removable Joy Cons or something. That's a little more difficult because once the size gets smaller, you got to look at battery power, heat, things like that.
Eye strain.
Yeah, well, yeah. So it's
I don't see them going smaller. Um,
not too much if they do it all. I don't see it either.
I could see them maybe make one that actually isn't portable and it's just the brick.
Yeah.
Um, for some people, because there's some people that, and they could easily run the numbers and tell how many people are playing docked and how many people aren't. And I don't know
Hmm.
if you ever looked. I saw it maybe a year ago. It was about 40% played almost always docked,
Hmm.
40% played almost always handheld, and then a little bit of the remaining 20% was a blur of the
Yeah.
mesh of the two.
I can
So
see that because I am definitely an almost always docked guy.
if I think about it, I'm probably almost always handheld
Oh, okay.
because again, it's usually when I'm watching sports.
Well, and that's I like my TV is right over here. So, and then I have a monitor that I can, with HDMI, I can plug it in, so I could play my uh, Switch on this monitor here while watching something on my TV. So, like, yeah, for me,
Yeah, no, I hear
it
you.
makes no sense to
Yep.
do handheld when I can have a bigger screen like that.
Yep,
So,
no, I hear you. All right,
and
well,
I prefer my Pro controller anyways over
you know,
Joy Cons.
I have the Pro controller.
Hmm.
What I really like though is I like the default grip that comes with it, where you slide the Joy-Con onto. I actually prefer that.
Okay.
And I bought,
and yeah,
I bought
it-
another
it's not-
grip, and it's not the same. Like the shape
Yeah.
and the size is not the same.
Right. I mean, don't get me wrong. They did a good job with the Joy Cons in that grip, but it still just doesn't feel near as natural to me as the Pro controller does.
That's fair. And it's, by the way, their Pro controller might be the best video game controller on the market.
Oh, absolutely! I love that thing. It is so good.
Yeah. Oh, and you know what I love is the battery life on it is absurd. What is
Yeah.
it? Something like 40 hours on a 3-hour charge or something like that?
It is. I mean, seriously, I don't know the last time I've actually charged it.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. But yeah, Paul is saying he's another dot guy. Well, he's saying that handheld is hard on his eyes too,
Yeah.
which I can see that. Yeah, definitely extended periods of time with any type of portable device like that is going to strain your eyes, especially with games that are meant to be looked at and on larger screens. So yeah,
I think usually how I play, though, I'm usually like this. I think I've got it pretty
Right.
close to my face. My vision's terrible to begin with, though, so I'm legally blind without my glasses. Pretty
oh
much.
nice.
Yeah, I can't even see the big E on the chart, so...
I have reading glasses. The problem is, it almost made it worse for me. Started giving me headaches when using the reading glasses. So, I don't know. But
All right,
anyways,
well, let's move on to our Game Pass picks for this week. Why don't you take the first
Absolutely.
one?
okay. I want to go with one that most people know of. A well-known series. Just Cause 3 is now on Game Pass. Definitely worth a shot. If you have Game Pass, there's no reason not to at least try it. See if it's what you like. A lot of fun. They're kind of has a Grand Theft Auto feel in some aspects, and definitely very very cool. I love using the grappling hook and then zooming.
All I know about it is, or all I've seen about it is doing crazy stuff with the grappling hook and rockets.
Right.
Um,
I haven't played a whole lot of it, but enough to enjoy it. I tell you what, when it comes to anything that's like a shooter or whatever, I don't like third person view.
yeah, I normally don't either.
So I struggle with that aspect of it, but it's still a good game. Definitely worth a shot. Like I says, Game Pass. Try it for free and see if you like it.
Yeah, I played one of them. I don't remember if it was one or two, and it was a little. The story was a bit absurd, and I just didn't care for it. And I think that's the intent. Is it's supposed to be very hyperbolic and goofy.
Right, yeah. The story, it does not seem to be anything serious. It's like it's you're not looking at like Battlefield, which is trying to portray World War II or whatever. But yeah, but Paul loves GTA, by the way.
And Paul, if you love GTA and you have a last gen console and you haven't played the Saboteur, go to GameStop and find a used copy of it. The Saboteur is awesome. One of the most underrated games of all time. It's basically, so it takes place in Paris, France during the Nazi occupation, and you play as like a drunk Irish mechanic that likes to race cars. But so it's GTA, but strapping dynamite to Nazis.
Okay, I like that. That's pretty cool.
And there's a really cool mechanic in the game where if you're in an area that's Nazi occupied, everything's black and white. And as you defeat the local commander and you destroy the propaganda towers and the tanks and all that, it'll turn to color. And if you're being chased when you're in an area that's color, the French resistance will actually come out and cover for you so you can drive away.
Huh, okay. That definitely sounds pretty interesting.
One of the most underrated games of all time.
Yeah.
The game I want to talk about on Game Pass, or one of them, is called Hello Neighbor. Have you heard of this?
I have. It's not one I've tried out, and I want to. I plan on downloading it at some point in time, soon. For Game Pass, yeah.
Yep. So I haven't played it yet, but I have downloaded it,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a survival horror stealth game, where your neighbor's like a homicidal maniac. It's very cartoony.
Right.
So and what intrigues me about it is supposedly the neighbor learns from what you have done in the past and starts to predict what you're going to do. So I'm interested to see that aspect of it and see how well that works.
It could be. It definitely sounds interesting. I mean, and this is it. It's not. It's different. It's innovative.
Yep.
Things like that, and that's what so many of the big name games are missing. They don't take risks.
Yep.
Like games like this do.
But indie games like this, yes.
Yeah, and the problem is then because they're indie games, people don't hear about them.
Yep.
Don't give them a chance because it's only $10 or $20, in the stores. Like it can't be good, or it's not EA or Bethesda or whatever, so it can't be good, and they never give it a shot. So,
and I think 10 years ago that may have been true, but it is certainly not the case now.
No, not at all.
And I thought about getting this on the Switch, but then I saw it was on Game Pass. I was like, well...
yeah, for free.
Yeah.
Well, not for free, but
Yeah. So, Hello Neighbors one we should... I want people to check out. I'm going to hopefully get to it this week. So...
Oh, very cool.
All right, what's another one you want to talk about?
There's a game called Snake Pass. And now I actually have it on the Switch.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not going to worry about putting it on the Xbox, but the game itself is actually pretty fun. It's a 3D platformer, kind of puzzle-ish. You got to figure out how to get to certain areas as a snake.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, you're controlling the snake, and the controls are actually really intuitive, really, but it takes a while to get used to because you're literally having to move the controls like you're the snake, and it's really interesting, and it's fun. It is actually quite an enjoyable time. Pretty relaxing, and you just got to like maneuver around and have to like move the head of it to get it to move the tail right. It's hard to explain, but it's a bright, cheery game. Got all sorts of, like you're trying to collect certain things, and you have multiple different types of things you can collect, and it just there's a lot to do, and it's fun, relaxing game to just mess around with. I would definitely say give it a shot. Better than pretty much any of the platformers you'll find on like a phone or whatever, and free on Game Pass. So there you go.
Right on. The next game I want to mention is Mortal Kombat X. Now, I mentioned I've been playing it earlier, and I hadn't played a Mortal Kombat game in 20 years, give or take.
Something like that, yeah.
So it was new to me, like all the changes they had made. But NetherRealm does a really good job at making fighting games. Between Injustice and Mortal Kombat, they keep putting out a solid product every time. So if you played Injustice but haven't played Mortal Kombat and you have Game Pass, check it out. It's definitely worth it.
If you're not a young kid.
Well, yeah.
Yeah,
fair enough.
This is definitely not a game for kids. And just like back in the day when the original Kombat came out, and moms were so up in arms about the game, and how it's going to desensitize your kids and make them turn evil. And this is take that times 1,000. So
yeah, it is pretty gruesome. Yeah. One thing I was surprised at is I seem to remember more characters, and there weren't as many characters as I was expecting. So, I don't think Smoke was in there. I could be mistaken.
And now, how much have you played? Have you unlocked them all?
So I think from the get-go, all but like the final boss are unlocked, and the DLC characters.
Right. Okay.
And the DLC characters are Leatherface, Jason Voorhees, Freddy Krueger, and some Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
And the alien, the Predator.
The Predator, yeah. So I was a bit surprised there weren't more characters, but again, maybe I missed them. There definitely was not as many costumes as I was expecting. Some of them only had the one, some of them only had two. And it was like classic Sub-Zero or the new one.
Well, no, you get those through certain... Yeah. Because I bought it when it first came out. And you get them through different activities, completing certain things.
Okay.
Like going through, there's that the tower mode or whatever.
Okay.
You get stuff through there. So there are definitely more costumes that you can get. Yeah.
All right. Well, I stand corrected then.
Yeah.
All right. So, is there any other games you want to mention?
One is called Abzu, ABZU. It's an interesting little game. Basically, another very meant to be very calming game. Basically, you're a diver, and in the ocean and everything, and it's all about swimming through the ocean and collecting stuff, and it's just a very relaxing, calming game. Very beautiful. Scenery, and you get to dive through the ocean. It's pretty cool. Definitely worth checking out if you're looking for something like that. Something relaxing.
Right on.
So, yeah.
All right.
That's pretty cool.
We've got some video game news, upcoming games we want to talk about. Nintendo had its indie highlights earlier today, where they showcased nine new indie games. And as we mentioned before, the Switch is really a haven for indie titles. And some of the good-looking ones, or some of the more talked-about ones, are Wargroove, which is a spiritual successor to, say, like a Final Fantasy VI.
Okay.
It's like a turn-based RPG. Very Super Nintendo 16-bit graphic inspired. Crosscode is another one. And Unruly Heroes, which is based on Chinese mythology, and that game looks sick.
I'll definitely have to check those out.
I've requested a review code for it. I'm hoping to hear soon.
That'd be nice.
Actually, let me check. Maybe the PR firm emailed me. No.
I want to talk about the Goat Simulator.
And the Goat Simulator, yeah.
The Goat Simulator is definitely coming to the Nintendo Switch.
Have you played it before?
No, I haven't. And it's one of those, it does look interesting. I might have to check it out. I don't know.
I maybe played half an hour on the Xbox One.
Yeah.
You can strap rockets to a goat. It's a glorified physics engine, but it's really good. There's some crazy stuff you can do. Get the goat stuck in the water tower,
Mm-hmm.
It's absurd, but it's funny. So.
Yeah.
And in the next week, we've got two major games coming out. We've got Resident Evil 2 coming out Friday, the remake of that, and it's getting great reviews. And then Kingdom Hearts 3 comes out next week.
Yeah.
And I'm really tempted to get into that, and I've heard some people say that you got to play the first ones to understand what's going on. I was listening to the PlayStation podcast for IGN today from a couple weeks ago, and I forget his name. I think it's Jonathan Dornbush. He's like their Kingdom Hearts expert.
Uh-huh.
He said basically all you got to know is the Disney characters are good and the guys in black hoods are bad. And from there, you should be able to get the rest of it. So
okay. Yeah, because I have not played any of them.
I have not, but it looks...
It looks...
intriguing.
Right. Yes,
exactly. It's piqued my interest.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah.
All right, what about you? Are there any upcoming games you want to talk about or any video game news?
Yeah, well, we just actually posted on our website, on the ANG website, an article, and it's about The Division 2. They have a private beta coming up here in just a couple weeks, so definitely check out our website for information on that. Also, Bandai Namco teased a new Dragon Ball game. It's called what they had. There was a Twitch they put out. and or tweet, not Twitch, and it was Dragon Ball Game Project Z Action RPG.
Hmm.
So I'm definitely interested in that. I'm a big Dragon Ball fan, so although I have not watched any of Dragon Ball Super, but I would love to see what they got. Like I have Dragon Ball Xenoverse, or not Xenoverse, Xenoverse. Is that right? Anyways, on the Switch, but yeah, their game. So I'm wondering another action RPG for Dragon Ball. I could definitely be happy with that. So definitely looking forward to finding out more information from them about that.
Right on.
Uh,
Yeah, I'm not. I know next to nothing about Dragon Ball. I know there's a guy named Goku, and I think there's a guy named Piccolo.
yes,
That's the extent
that's
of my
true.
Dragon
Yes.
Ball knowledge. Never really got into anime.
Yeah,
I don't know why. I just like a lot of nerdy stuff, but it just
it's not for everybody. That's for sure.
I just
I mean, I don't get into a lot of anime, but yeah, I started watching Dragon Ball as a teenager and just absolutely loved it. So,
right on.
yeah,
Yeah, the Division 2, I'm really really interested in that one.
yeah.
I played a lot of the Division.
Hmm.
I really liked it. There were some issues. Unfortunately, a lot of the guys I were playing with either didn't get the DLC packs or they stopped playing.
Yeah,
And I from what I played of them, I really liked them.
yeah. Definitely one that if you can get in with a group of people would be a lot better.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right.
Alright.
We want to mention real quick, Grill Your Ass Off in is it Man Sports, the A&G sponsors that do the
Oh,
Brain
yeah, yeah.
Bridge.
Uh-huh.
They're official sponsors of A&G.
Hmm.
They give us money, so go check them out. Grilling season's coming up, so
So what is it? The grill your what?
grill your ass off.
What is that though?
Oh, it's a company that sells grilling products.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
I hadn't heard about them.
Yep, I think they've been a sponsor since more or less day one. So,
Okay, nice.
and
Very cool.
as you mentioned earlier, Nasty Nalia is the streamer of the month.
Yep, absolutely.
So go check out her Twitch stream. She likes to
Yeah,
play Paladins.
Yep, she's always fun,
And then we got the
especially
Friday.
when she laughs and snorts.
We've got the Friday recap every Friday night around 8 o'clock, where Hogo and Josh Van Cleek, Sin Eater, they recap what's going on in the guild. Shortly followed up by Free for All Friday. So check it out.
And coming to consoles.
Yes.
So the Friday free for alls, that is. Yeah.
All right. Well, that's all I got.
Alrighty, sir.
Do you got anything else?
Oh, sorry, I was reading. Paul just said have to check them out. Yep, definitely, man. Check it out. We're a good group of people. So, but all right. Well, yeah, I think I'm good to go. So, everybody, you all have a wonderful night.
Yeah.
And we will definitely talk to you here soon.
We'll see you next week.
Later.